Just saying, I guess.
Oh, for fuck's sake. I'm going home.
All right, all right, all right. Welcome, guys, to the show. Thank you very much for hanging out. It is a Pro Talk show today. We have Iaguz on to talk about TVT, a calm, logical discussion with absolutely no attitude whatsoever. No, we're just going to talk about TVT and especially your WCS A and Z qualifier games against Cephas. So let's count down 3, 2, or 1 and play just on regular faster speed. And
Yeah.
awesome, man. How you going?
Pretty good, I guess. I don't know. I got really lucky to win this one. Not in this series, just against Probe. It's not every day that a Protoss is nice enough to blow up all his adepts for you. But
Yeah, I'd actually kind of half stopped watching for a moment, and then I was getting excited over the fact that when he came in with that attack, your Medivacs picked up and started flying away because I was sitting next to Insano, and I was like, oh, Iaguz just picked up his army right as Probe's attacking. This is so bad. And then
yeah, it would
I
be
was like,
pretty bad.
where did Probe's army go? And Insano's like, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure I just saw a lot of adepts blow up to a disruptor shot. And we're both just like, what?
Yeah, I saw that Twitch clip someone made, and like Zeph and Maynard didn't seem to see it either. I saw it. It was incredible.
We did an instant rewind to make sure everyone caught it. As soon as Zeph and Maynard came off, just before ad break, we were like, okay, let's just show a little replay of that so that everyone gets their chance to clip that. It was a bit unfortunate for Probe. He was playing really well, but
It's not often a disruptor shot gets you $3,000, but oh well.
it happens. They go both ways, disruptor shots. But of course, this was a TVT versus Caesar. In the first series, I believe you beat him
No, I
2-1.
lost the first series.
Oh, so you wait a sec. Oh yes, of course. Now I remember. He beat you 2-1.
So I had to play Probe.
He YOLO'd you in Defender's Landing in Game 3, and yeah.
Yes, and on this map, you'll note that I'm actually looking for his proxy because I'm opening Reaper Expand again. I figured it was really because like in the first series you went proxy Reaper, which is an insta win. But I figure that he's probably not going to do it again. But just in case, I'll just check where he put the Reapers before.
Good choice.
Because I'm a responsible Terran sometimes.
Seether, this is the first time I've seen him all in as much as he did in that.
Yeah,
tournament
that was
weekend.
that was a goddamn surprise. I'm like, he never does this. What are you doing? But
The final evolution, man. He's made it. He mastered macro. Now he's mastered the dirty cheese. Didn't quite fully work out, but he's qualified.
I guess so. Anyway, this is just the most normal Reaper expand that you can get. You don't SCV scout because you want all the minerals, and your build will not change. Because there's only 3 builds in TVT, which is the one Seath is doing, the one I'm doing, and Proxy Reaper. Proxy Reaper kills you, and you won't really change your build against the other 2. I mean, you might if it's Reaper Expand versus Reaper Expand. You might not want to get the Cyclone. You might want to just start on a Mine Drop, but that's... like, you don't really have to. You don't really get hurt for not scouting in TVT. The only good thing you can get from scouting in TVT is if you see they're going Reaper Expand, you can hit with your Reaper and your SCV, and it can overpower their Reaper, and since it'll be ages before they have a second unit, you are slightly ahead, and you can cancel their expansion.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, every now and then you'll see a Korean Terran do it, and it looks genius.
Apologies for the observing. The guys watching. Just had to fix something up there with my computer, but it is looking okay now. Okay, so yeah, I mean, you pretty much always just build a Cyclone with this, of course. You do delay the starport a little bit to get the Cyclone out. That's kind of how you stay safe. Do you always go double Cyclone off this? Is this just... it doesn't, when does it
triple
change?
Cyclone, good sir. So the point of this build is, first of all, that one Cyclone stabilizes. You have to hug your ramp going into your main, in case of 2 Reaper and a Hellion. But once the Cyclone comes out, like, that's it. You're safe. You will be fine. As long as you kept all your Marines, you will be fine. Nothing can really get you.
So that's why you go straight into...
Did I lose my Reaper? Where did my Reaper go?
So I've actually gone back a little bit, just back to show the opening one more time, as I did kind of gloss over that.
Oh, okay.
So, I figure, hey, since we're talking about the opening, I'm just going to fast forward through there and we'll resync in just a second. So, it is Reaper, straight into Reactor and then Factory. and then immediately Cyclone. And I really like what you said about hugging the ramp, because otherwise you do get just completely wrecked.
Yeah,
if you
there's
don't
like
go out.
there's a timing window that's of like 8 seconds where you don't have a Cyclone, but they'll have 3 units, so you need to be up at the top of your ramp. You might even need to be behind your wall-off, who knows? Also note that the second gas in this build is made before the second depot, so you're supply blocked for like 3 seconds, but you need all that gas, it's important.
Otherwise your Cyclone gets potentially delayed, and more importantly, I guess your follow-up, your extra Cyclones and your starport, right?
Well, your Cyclone won't be delayed, but your starport will. And this build is about defending the initial harassment whilst hitting them back with 2 Cyclones and a medevac full of Marines. And I'm at 410, and that's about what's going to happen.
All right, let's sync up at 420. Tell me when you're there.
Alright, 420.
All right, 3, 2, 1, play. So you're counter pushing with your Cyclones now, and this basically keeps your opponent honest, right? If you don't do this, I guess it's kind of dangerous. They might be really greedy, or they might just pressure you with Ravens and stuff like that.
No, it's just because this is a really difficult time for them to handle. They made Reapers, and they don't have a lot of actual things. I mean, Seether does right now, which is why I'm going to get bugger all done. But, like, this is sort of what you do. This can be a really powerful push. It's really difficult for the... Especially if he's lost units. Like, Seether hasn't lost any units yet, so which is why this push isn't doing anything. But if he had, like, he can easily die to this. Unfortunately, I made my medevac drop into his main super obvious, so I didn't get to kill anything. But he hasn't really killed anything, so I'm slightly ahead just because of my expansion. I'm up like 5 SCVs or something. I've already started my third.
I'm curious, do you think maybe he should, considering he kept building Cyclones to be safe afterwards, it's like, yeah, he added the Cyclone, do you think he really needed to keep the Ravens at home? Do you think maybe there's something to be said for the Ravens, just at least the first one, going straight across the map and trying to get some auto turret harass down?
Yeah, the reasoning being, so we used to do a lot of, in TVT, when I say we, I just mean Terrans, we used to do a lot of auto turret harass. I guess we're going to be doing less of it now because Ravens suck. Actually, yeah, this TVT is slightly out of date. No, that sucks. But what we do, or at least what we used to do, I don't know what it's going to be like now, is you would have to save up all your auto turret energy to do a push.
Because even if you killed a few SCVs, otherwise I guess they'd just beat you in the frontal fight by having like 2 more auto turrets, right? Because their damage output is just so insane.
Exactly. If you're harassing with 2 Ravens, even if you get a lot of SCVs, you're just dead if they do a push. The auto turret real estate market is a pretty powerful one.
Oh yeah. And 2-shotting Marines, I guess, 2-shotting workers. Now it's 3 shots. It's way
gonna be 3,
slower.
which is a lot worse. I'm guessing it's a lot worse. I've played hardly any TVTs since the patch. Yeah, here he's gone in for a push, and here you can see that, like, auto turrets are pretty good, but they're not good enough in this case because I had enough Marines.
I believe it was one of the games in this series. The only one you lost was actually on Odyssey. We're not going to look at that game today, but you were kind of in the same sort of position, and then you decided to unsiege your tanks and moved out, and he kind of just dropped the auto turrets on top of you. You weren't watching your Ravens.
Yeah, I wasn't watching, and that can easily happen. You can beat really good TVT players, or at least you used to. I don't know if we're going to be going double Raven anymore. Yeah, sorry guys, this TVT is slightly out of date, but
that's alright.
It's only a week old. It's less than a week old.
And to be honest, auto turrets will still be useful in frontal fights, just not nearly as
You're still
decisive.
going to make at least... Well, like, there's a good chance you're still going to make at least 1 Raven in the early game, just for Banshees. I mean, it's a solid unit. It's a solid freaking unit.
Oh, yeah. And anyway, especially in messy games, the harassment is kind of stronger now, just because it forces so much lost mining time. Like, 10 seconds is pretty big.
Well, yeah, I guess so. Like I said, I don't even know if we're going to be using them for harassment anymore. I don't know what the fate of the Raven in TVT is, other than at least 1 is good. But, yeah, I've already got my 3rd planted. I got, do I have my armory? Yep, I have an armory on the way. So I'm in a really good spot, but he has 5 racks. Yeah, Seether's build is actually pretty good, because he's sort of got everything. Like, he started up his 3rd, but he started up 5 racks before. He basically got all his infrastructure in, and now he's going to take map control. Because I've been too greedy to be able to fight the map. If I had 5 racks, I would have map control, and he'd be under pressure. but I decided to go full greed because I watched TY do it, and I think, yeah, that's a good idea.
It's hard to pull off, but
Well, Innovation and TY.
yeah, both of them love
like
to sit back.
yeah, Korea Terran's got really greedy in TVT lately, and I'm like, all right, I guess if you have siege tanks, you don't have to have stim for 20 minutes or whatever. You don't have to have stim for a really long time. And here, Seether's doing what you do in TVT, which is, if one way is blocked by siege tanks, maybe the other way isn't blocked by siege tanks. And it isn't. And this is good damage.
So in this sort of position, I mean, it's something where, I guess, are you worried about other units running into your third base right now? I think you've just left one siege tank there, right? Are you worried about the third base right now at all? I guess, yeah, you just rotated back some Marines and a tank.
Yeah, exactly. Because, like, this isn't a big army that he's got here, and I know he's going to have more units. Also, Seether just loves to, like, have a spare dropship full of Marines all the time. So I even have a tank in my main. I am paranoid. And rightly so, because look at this. Look at these Marines here. Look at these sneaky little devils. Yeah, get fucked. Oh, in the main. Oh, I'm prepared. You don't even have combat shields. Get out of here.
Turtly TVT, man.
Unfortunately, my macros completely slipped. Yeah, I didn't multitask well this series. I noticed it when I was playing it. I was constantly floating, like my supply block number's probably huge. Turns out I'm not innovation, guys, but I'm working on it.
It's always a work in progress, and to be honest, this is the hardest thing to do. Defending in a TVT like this, when you're dealing with, you know, just the mobility of doom drops and tank evacs and stuff, the moment you kind of lose this much map vision, it's very hard to contest.
Well, it's sort of like when you know where his army is, it's not as scary. It's like you just put up a bunch of tanks and vision, and you don't have to look at it. You don't have to think about that area. Like that area around my natural, I'm not thinking about that right now. Because you don't have to. Because I got tanks and I can see. That's it. And if you're not even thinking about it, then you can do all the other stuff you gotta do. Anyway, here I am trying to sneak out a Doom Drop, but it's not fucking working because he keeps scanning. So I'm trying to trick him. I don't know what I'm... This is really awkward because Seether has a lot of map control. Even though he's behind, he still has... Well, he's sort of behind.
He kind of cuts corners in some ways, like in the fact that, you know, you're building sensor towers and stuff, but he
kind of doesn't need them because he's got all the map.
Until what ends up happening eventually in this game, of course.
Yeah, eventually one of my Doom Drops does work. Oh yeah, spoiler warning, a Doom Drop works in TVT.
Oh my god, who would have ever
Oh yeah,
thought?
this Doom Drop. This is so awkward.
Oh, I was freaking out when I was casting this, man.
These metapacks, they don't know what's happening.
And then you started going to the middle, and I was like, no!
Like, yeah, maybe not. Maybe not.
I think this map's interesting because he's got the middle. It is kind of awkward, right? Because it's very hard for you to track his army, and it's hard for you to figure out where the gaps in his vision are or where you can push out. Do you feel like maybe, I mean, ideally, obviously your macro slipped a bit, but ideally I think a minute or two earlier, you probably would have been pushing out and trying to get control of the watchtowers, right? Or at least some portion of the map. Find some way to push him back, yeah?
Yeah, like, well, that's sort of what I was doing. I'm like, alright, he's got this army that's by the top area near my natural, so I'm not going to move out there for a bit. I mean, I do now because I realize it's okay. He's got the middle watchtower and he had some units there earlier. Okay, I'll go around the bottom. Oh, he's got units there too. It's like, he's just headed me off in every direction. But if you just sort of keep pushing around, you'll find it out, because you can only have so many siege tanks in places.
Yep.
And here I'm doing an army split. I've got to keep the third safe by having like 5 tanks and some marines there. And I've got to keep this base safe. And I got to hit him. By the way, I've had like a Raven, and like now this drop has been just plinking at Seeth's. Is that Raven still alive? Or no, I lost.
I think the Raven went down, but you are... Yeah, it was really annoying. Wasted a lot of mining time on his natural and third earlier while he was pressuring you.
Like, that's a fine time for a Raven. Like, after you've done the initial Raven phase in the game, they can just harass. So yeah, now I finally get a Doom drop off. and it's great because his army's like in a terrible spot. I mean, he's gonna kill this fourth, but I have like no SCVs there. I don't care. That's a fine trade for what I get here.
Now, what if I think the game's pretty straightforward right now, but I guess you know you're going for the base trade. As the base trade starts, you're repositioning your tanks. I guess you change your rally points. Is there anything specific you focus on, or is it really just trying to set up a strong point a little bit further back from wherever the front base is that they hit?
Well, I wasn't really going for a base trade. I had enough tanks to stop him. Like,
well, you're killing his base while stopping his base trade, I guess.
Yeah, and it's just like if you've got tank, like this is the disadvantage of having map control in this matchup. Like, I have so much less to defend with tanks. Yeah. So just by getting this drop in his main, like I get so much out of this, and he can't really get me because I don't have to defend as much. Like, and yeah, I don't know. Doom drops are just good. I wish I had more tanks in this Doom drop. I don't know why I only had one. That was a bit poor. But now Seether has to rebuild all his depots and barracks, and I think his marines are stuck on 3-2.
Yep. And now
his and now I pretend to leave, but I went back into his main because I thought this army that was at my 4th was gonna like cut me off. So I thought, okay, I guess all these units are dead. But I was wrong. Nothing was being cut off.
Just
yeah, that was a little silly. They could have just evacuated, to be honest.
Yeah. That is a lot
now,
of marines.
Now Seether's going for a Doom drop, but at this point I have so many minerals, like I did something you really shouldn't do, which is build a bunch of turrets. And normally you don't want to have a bunch of turrets, you just want to spend minerals on things that kill things better and go out on the map. But here it was pretty good, because he just flew right into it. And sometimes it's fine to fly into turrets, which is another reason why they're bad, but I think they were good in this instance.
Yeah, I mean, that was like 4 or 5 turrets in pretty tight formation. You know, every medevac going down there, it's pretty big.
I should have built more turrets, to be honest. Should be like 8 there. This is really irritating. I don't want to deal with this.
So it's funny, right? There's always that point in the game where static defense becomes a lot more worthwhile. But I like what you said. Like, you don't normally want to just be building turrets. It's only like as you have that excess of minerals where it's like, okay, you know, you're kind of maxed with great upgrades.
Yeah,
let's drop auto turrets.
I'm maxed. I'm floating. I've got enough command centers. I don't want to like. I'm like, you're never gonna do that thing in TV. We're never gonna do that thing in when we play Terran, which we used to, where we just make like 8 orbital commands and no SCVs.
Yeah, the maps just mine out too fast in Legacy, right? So you don't really get the time to go for those orbitals just because the map mines out way too quickly now, yeah?
Yeah, it's like, you don't want to spend 5,000 minerals on something that isn't killing things, you know?
Yep.
I don't know, it just doesn't work out as well. So yeah, with all them extra minerals, you can just make turrets. And so now we enter late game. Oh boy, see, this macro is so awkward now. Don't lose your main, kids.
He lost, what, 20 depots or something? It's just like, oh my god. Trying to rebuild everything.
But this is still, like, pretty good from Seether, like, the way he's holding on, the way he's actually moving his units and sieging on sieging. Like, I go into late game, which is I made an extra starport or 2, and you add Vikings and Liberators. So the units that are really good at the early part of the game, which are Vikings and Libs and air control, also turn out to be pretty good late in the game, because at this point I can't just walk forward tanks. You'll have too many tanks. Yep. We've all got too many freaking tanks. This is a fucking stupid way to lose these units.
Dude, yeah, that was a beautiful engage from him, and I guess you had like, what, 14 Marines and 14 siege tanks? Needed a bit more Marine support there. Of course, you were killing his entire natural and more of his very little production and supply buildings at the same time, so it was okay. Realistically, you know, it's interesting, right? Because you did get the Doom drop in this game, you know, you got yourself a nice advantage. Yeah, that I was very surprised that Seether fought back as long as he did, but he actually equalizes the supply now because he has all this bank, and as he gets through that, there's a point where he ties up the supply, but then you're just, you know, you've got the air transition on and things go well. So we can kind of zoom through from here at our own pace. But I want to ask you, man, so, I mean, let's say he had sensor towers up and units better positioned to spot your Doom drop. That's the answer, right? Just have more vision, don't let it
Yeah.
sneak in there. And if he stopped that and he kept stopping your Doom drops, do you feel like you would have been forced to simply try and push him off the watchtowers? Because
Well, it's like the thing is, all right. So if that Doom drop, the one that got into his main and killed everything, if for whatever reason I can't get that in there, but I don't lose it, then we're still just playing TVT tug of wars until something gives, until someone gets tanks where they shouldn't be, and that's just TVT. Like that's just the mid game. Is we've got enough tanks that we can really hurt the opponent, but we haven't got so much that we just lock everything down and have to move into air.
right. So it's just that constant maneuvering, seeing if you can
Yeah.
find an angle, catch them out of position. It's just
Yeah.
moving around and trying to find the right angle and catch your
Exactly.
opponent out of position, right?
And 99 times out of 100 something gives. And the other one time we make Liberators and Vikings.
And normally you only need about 2 libs, right? And then it's just about having the Viking
Yes.
superiority.
You don't need that many Liberators to kill things. But you do need to make sure you've always got spares in case they just run Marines forward and kill them, and then you have to wait again for Liberators to be finished. It takes forever. This is
Yeah.
really awkward, but it is good. This is how you've like pressed the issue in late game. It's the only way you've really got, other than just, I don't know, being better at control. And why the hell am I not harassing his bottom base? Yeah, I'm playing this really badly.
Well, you didn't know about his very bottom one, but the one
That's
on the,
no excuse.
the bottom left, yeah, definitely.
I should be able to intuit this base at the bottom is there.
But you do end up closing it out. Now, if he doesn't have the Viking advantage, right, which he doesn't, he's basically forced to keep you away from his base, right? Because if you guys are both locked in front of each other, you will just be able to push him back, right? You are able to slowly work your way through any situation. It's not an especially fast push, but you will do it. So it kind of forces him to play more aggressively, right? So he actually has to try and keep the fighting out on the map, or out on your side of the map, and basically keep his movement going to keep you away from his bases, right?
Yeah, this is actually really difficult. This is a really tricky map to try and do Liberator late game on, because he just keeps moving around. Like even though I'm slowly picking at him, like with every time he's forced to unsiege his tanks, it's still incredibly difficult.
And it's very APM intensive to micro the tanks and the Liberators and doing these slow sieges, right? So if you're constantly just forcing sieges up on your side of the map, it takes a lot of mechanics from you and patience to not get lazy and walk into a concave or, walk into some siege tanks or something.
Pretty much. It's also why I was really slow in taking extra bases, because I'm just so busy unsieging tanks and libs and re-sieging and so on. But I don't know. Eventually it works out. Eventually, like, Seether just sort of runs out of money.
Yeah. I'm here at the very end of the game now, and you're just overwhelming him with final Viking lib push. And that's that. So a nice game there. Yeah. Do you feel like you were far ahead after you defended his first Raven push, or where do you think you gained your main edge this game? I feel like it was pretty even until the Doom drop.
Yeah, like, I thought I was a little bit more ahead, but I sort of slipped up with my macro and handling that push at the 4th. Like, I think I could have been even more ahead. I just sort of wasn't. Because the other game went really well for me. This is like, the other game is an almost ideal Reaper expand. I didn't take damage. My counter pressure didn't do anything. That's because, like, I didn't get to kill any units before I went for it. And then I got away with being super greedy.
Fair enough.
But then I just didn't multitask correctly, and that's why I had to basically just rely on that Doom drop. Like, I knew I probably wasn't going to have... Well, I wasn't sure if I wasn't going to have map control or not, because I didn't know when he had his third. Like, if he took his third immediately before adding the 5 barracks, it would have been much easier for me to have map control.
Yeah. And I think that makes the game a bit easier, right? For me, anyway. Obviously, I'm curious. Do you agree? Like, basically, it's just... you'd rather be a bit more aggressive? Because I notice... And I don't know if you've noticed this as well, but whenever I watch, like, the Jack Gs of the world, the kind of lower-end round of 32 Koreans, as opposed to the innovations and the TYs, you see, like, pretty much all of the Jack Gs, even Alive, and he's the best of the Terrans that plays the more aggressive style, they always go, like, 5 barracks, often even before 3rd Command Center, like, just get up that production and then try and find an opening with the movement and really force the issue before it goes to late game. Whereas TY and Innovation, like the select few elite Terrans, just sit back and try to absorb everything that comes their way.
Well, yeah, like both are valid. If you have like, if you don't take a third in TVT and you just make a bunch of Marines and tanks against someone who is trying to take a third, it's like you will get map control, and then then it's really easy for you just to have 9 medevacs and an army to put in them, and then you just win.
Yep. Doom drop, get him out of position. So let's load up Abyssal now.
Like if you watch Maru play TVT, he actually I haven't watched any of his TVTs in yonks, but he's sort of the one who really sticks out as like, I will make 5 Raxes, a factory, and a starport on 2 CC, and then I will murder you.
It always looks really well when the player's like getting the 3rd CC, they've got the double eBay, and then the Doom drop gets in, or then they just only have 2 tanks sieged at the front. They just get overwhelmed because they were too worried about the drop, right?
Yeah.
So have you exited out? Are you relogged back in yet?
I am 10 seconds into the Abyssal game.
Oh, fantastic! You're already there. All right, let's play. Let's go straight on in.
Yeah. By the way, in between these games was a game on Odyssey where I lost the irritating way where we both had Ravens and I wasn't looking, and he got his auto turrets down first. Ha! TVT things.